What's the biggest hint you've ever missed from a woman? In college, I get a message from a girl in my class. She invites me over to eat cake, literally. But I got an assignment due and feeling stressed, so I'm not really trying to eat dessert right now. She's persistent. I ask if she has a power outlet, because I guess I can do homework in her dorm while charging my laptop. She says yeah. I head over. When I get there, she's wearing contacts and a cocktail dress and hands me a slice of cake. She informs me that her roommate will be gone for several hours. I nod okay. Kinda weird that she told me about her roommate, because I'm only here for free food. But I find the nearest outlet and plug in my laptop. Start eating the cake, finish it pretty fast. She spends the next 20 minutes trying to talk to me, which I find kind of annoying because I want to focus. Eventually, she sighed, went into her room, and came back out wearing glasses, yoga pants, and a t-shirt. I left shortly after. We were chatting at a bar and it was getting late. I ask her if I can get her something and she says, nothing now, but you can buy me breakfast in the morning. I asked her if she wanted to meet somewhere for breakfast. I'm embarrassed just thinking about it. Oh, I got a similar one. Last woman I dated, I didn't realize we were even dating until 1 month in. We had been first met through a mutual friend a couple years prior, but had lost contact until one day she messages me on Facebook, asking me if I wanted to come over that weekend to play N64. We spend the next month or so with her inviting me over to play Smash and me inviting her on hikes. Finally, as we were making plans to go to a party at her friend's, she asked if I could teach her how to make breakfast the following morning, because I know how to cook and she didn't. I say, sure, but let her know that my roommate is unconformable with guests sleeping in common areas, so we would need to share my bed. She agreed and I think nothing of. It wouldn't be the first time I shared a bed/cuddled with a completely platonic female friend. After the party, we get back to my apartment, and she asks where my roommate is. As soon as I finished saying, away for the weekend, as I'm facing away from her to put a couple of things away, she physically turns me around and pretty much mauls my face and shoves me into bed. I still offered to teach her how to cook in the morning, and she chose to sleep in instead. So I'm about 80% sure it was never about learning to cook. In college, a girl and I worked together for about a year, usually late nights in a campus food court that wasn't that busy. Over time we became better friends. Eventually we both ended up breaking up with our respective SOs around the same time, so naturally we bonded over that and how both relationships were dead for a while anyway. A week later I say like one sentence complaining about my dorm's laundry being in the basement and not working well. She mentions I should come do laundry at her house instead, and that her mom is gone for the weekend so wouldn't mind. I kind of brush it off, but she keeps bringing it up and saying there's a movie on Netflix she'd like to see that weekend too. 19-year-old me is thinking, why the hell would driving my laundry to your house be less annoying than taking it to my building's basement, so I just keep changing the subject. Took me like 6 years to realize that one. 2 hints. There was a girl in my neighborhood who I spent every day hanging out with. I would go to her house, knock on the door, and we'd walk to the park and shoot the shit. This went on for months. One day I go to her house and her parents aren't home. She invites me to come hang out inside. I oblige. We're in her back patio talking when she says, I really wish I had a boyfriend right now. I'd totally sleep with him. I reply back, I wish I had a girlfriend right now. I'd do the same. She stared at me longingly. I eventually piped up, well, it really sucks we don't have anybody. I gotta get home for dinner. See you tomorrow? We kinda drifted apart after that one. 2. In college I ran into a gorgeous girl I knew back in high school. We chat for a bit, catch up, and finally she says, I have to get going. Take my number and we can get coffee. My reply? I don't really like coffee. But it was nice seeing you. God damn, I was a fudging idiot. When I was in college, I went to the same comic book store every week for about 2 years straight and would always spend time talking to the girl behind the counter. She was always very talkative and interested, really passionate about comics. Eventually she moved and stopped working there. That's when her former coworkers informed me that she'd been waiting for over a year for me to ask her out. She wasn't that talkative with anyone else. I thought she just really liked her job. My wife and I met when we were in high school. I had a serious crush on her, but I never thought someone as pretty and unique as her would ever feel the same way. I held this belief even after she would spend time to hang out with me. Alone. At her request. With great effort. I just thought she was lonely for friends and that all the things we had in common made me fun to hang out with. Then when that wasn't enough, she started to really flirt in all the classic ways, saying I was cute, engaging physical contact, etc. And I still thought she was just being nice. Finally, she came up with this game where she would take small objects of mine, shove them down her shirt and dare me to go after them, and being the dense nerd I was, I thought, well, guess I'm not getting that back then. Finally, after exhausting every other option, she finally sat down and confessed her feelings. I was shocked beyond belief. Think I've answered this before, but here goes. Sat next to this pretty brunette in one class in college, we get to know each other reasonably well. One day, we get on the subject of swimming. She invites me to go swimming with her, but we needed to go to her room so I could tell her which bikini looked best on her first. My stupid ass just says, no, just pick one and meet me at the pool. There was a long pause, and she made up some excuse about why she actually couldn't go. It took me 3 years before I mentioned that incident to a female friend, who then explained to me what an idiot I was. Cracks knuckles. My dream girl was at my house, asked me to give her a back massage on my bed. Logically, as I did not know how to give a back massage, I declined. My friend almost immediately jumped on her. Invited 3 girls back to my house to watch a movie. Watched the movie. Girls told me after that, I didn't know you just wanted to watch the movie. WTF, that's what I invited you to do. Are these just missed hints? BC, I've got straight up told me what they wanted stories too. It was New Year's Eve. I was with my crush and we were hanging out cause we were both under 21. All of our friends went to bars, so we were alone. I was infatuated with this woman, but way too shy to tell her, so everything had been platonic. I had spent the night with her before and I would sleep on her couch. We had drank some wine and New Year's had finally hit. She gets up, says it's bedtime and starts walking to her room. I get up and start preparing the couch, but she stops me and motions me to join her in her room. We get to bed, and I lie down next to her. We're talking and she says, you can take your pants off, you know. In my head, I get concerned that she might see my chub, as she was really, really pretty and her smooth skin pressing against mine was turning me on. No thanks, my pants are comfortable enough. I then turn around and fall asleep. She whispered in my ear, I need a good fudge. I told her she was young and cute and could get anyone she wanted. It was years before the penny dropped. Yes, I am that oblivious. When I was on the service, I had come home on leave and a girl I had on again off again dated in high school stopped by for a visit. When she arrived, she said she had just gotten off a long night shift and needed a shower. I directed her down the hall to the bathroom and watched her go, shedding clothes every step of the way till she was but naked. She turned and smiled to me and I stupidly looked away quickly so she didn't catch me staring. That wasn't even the worst part though, as she asked me for towels a few minutes later. I went down the hall, cracked the door and poked me head in to get her some from the closet, expecting her to already be in the shower. Nope, she was standing in the bathroom in a "hey look at me" pose. I got her the towels she asked for and left. I was a sophomore in high school and had a class with a junior that was super hot, rockin' body. Anyway, we would always talk in class. She was flirting, I of course had no idea. Homecoming rolls around and neither of us bring dates. I was in a big group with my buddies. It was one of those high school dances where everyone is dancing, but it's really just grinding up against each other. I was just off the dance floor chatting with some buddies and she comes over and asks me to dance, with a real cute smile on her face. I froze and all I could think was, I can't dance, so I awkwardly said no. She looked shocked and turned and walked away. My friends called me an idiot, and I left homecoming without dancing with a hot upperclassman. On 2 separate occasions, 2 different girls I was into invited themselves up to my apartment to meet the cat after a night out in the city. The first time I stayed like 50 feet away while she petted my cat because I didn't want her to think I was going to try to assault her in my apartment. The second time I let her walk into the lobby of my apartment building and said, I think it's getting late now. I'll call you an Uber. She said it wasn't that late and was a Saturday, but I already confirmed the Uber and didn't cancel it. There is a redemption arc, though. The second girl invited herself up again to meet the cat 9 days later, at which point she sat next to me on the couch, offered me a mint, and then stared into my eyes until asking me to compare my hand size to her. When our eyes and hands were locked together, I kissed her. But silly me asked her for permission to kiss her first because I wanted to be 100% sure, lol. Thankfully, she said yes and we dated for 4+ years. Was at a trivia night. She was a friend's sister. We hit it off. She asked if I wanted to go next door where it was quieter and get food. I said, no, trivia is about to start. The next day, my friend came up to me at work and said, "Wait, what the hell was that?" In my defense, the girl was way too hot for me. Woman literally drove 2 hours away from her house to come over, cuddle up to me in bed, and watch 2 episodes of Doctor Who. I've got a lap desk that my wife signed back in 2003 when she'd spend time at my house. We didn't start dating until 2017. She asked why I didn't take the hint back then. Ma'am, you were a 5 feet 11 inches gorgeous basketball player and I was a chubby 5 feet 6 inches nerd. Yep,